In the spirit of reconciliation, Netball New South Wales acknowledges the traditional custodians of the lands across our wide netball landscape. We thank the traditional custodians for caring for country for thousands of generations. We recognise the ongoing connection to land, sea and community, and we acknowledge that the Aboriginal lands on which we build our courts and facilities are ancient and respected grounds. We also acknowledge the significant and ongoing contribution of local Aboriginal communities and pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging. We'd like to extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples who join us tonight. Tonight's webinar is about opportunities. It's about why it's so important to create culturally safe, inclusive and welcoming spaces for Aboriginal athletes, coaches, umpires and administrators. It's about how we create opportunities, and it's about what we can do to reduce barriers and build the confidence of Aboriginal athletes to take opportunities and realise their potential on and off the court. My name is Margaret Hamley. I'm the General Manager of Performance and Pathways at Netball New South Wales, and I am absolutely thrilled to be joined by three very wise panellists. The first person that I'd like to introduce you to is Alison Tucker Munro, proud Kamilaroi woman, with a list of achievements really too long to put on the screen tonight. But what I will do is just list some of Ali's achievements this year in 2021. Ali's a member of the Netball New South Wales Reconciliation Action Plan Working Group. She's head coach of the Giants Netball Academy. She's head coach of UTS Randwick Sparks. She was head coach of the inaugural Indigenous All-Stars team. She's assistant coach at Premier level she's assistant coach of the 19 and under New South Wales state team. And for many of you, I know you know the passion and the generosity that Al has as an educator and a mentor. Our second panellist is the very fun and fabulous leader, Courtney Jones. Courtney is a proud Gurrupai woman. She was captain of the 2021 Indigenous All-Stars team. She's a member of the UTS Randwick Sparks Open Premier League team. She's a former 19 and under New South Wales state team representative, and she really is a very impressive leader, educator and advocate. Our third panellist tonight is Fudge Atchin. Fudge is the high performance manager at UTS Sport, and he is a fabulous supporter and facilitator of change. UTS Randwick Sparks are a leading club in creating supportive environments for Aboriginal athletes, coaches and administrators. And with introductions underway, we are going, sorry Fudge, I didn't share your picture, the man behind the team. We are going to start with our discussions. Al, I'm going to start with you. I'm hoping that you may be able to share some of your thoughts on the why. Why is it so important that all of us at Netball New South Wales commit to developing culturally safe spaces for Aboriginal athletes, coaches, umpires, administrators and parents?
Thanks, Margaret, and hello everyone who's joined us tonight. I'd like to first of all start by acknowledging the traditional owners whose lands I would meet from today, and I'd like to pay my respects to my elders past and present, and I'd also like to extend an acknowledgement to every Aboriginal person on here tonight, and also our non-Indigenous brothers and sisters who've taken the time on a Tuesday to join us. Look, Margaret, that's a really great question, and I think it's one that's been challenging in our sport for quite a number of years, the why of the importance of having representation from our community in this sport. And I think it's one that we still need to explore and have honest conversations about in this space. I do think it's important to recognise the underrepresentation around our community members within this sport, and you know, I guess from my perspective, I'm doing what I can to sort of pave the way and I guess inform and influence where I can as well. I guess the why for me is that I think sport in itself is such a wonderful vehicle for social change, and it has provided me with so many wonderful opportunities as an ex-elite netballer. And I've seen many of my cousins and my other members in my community who have done wonderful things with sport and been given great opportunities. And I just think that within our space, and particularly for our young Aboriginal girls and women, that we need to make sure that they're afforded the same opportunities that's available out to other non-Indigenous participants of our sport. And so for me, it's also around about, welcoming and acknowledging and celebrating our culture and how it can actually really contribute to the way our sport can evolve. I think for me as an Aboriginal person, what's really inherent in me in that collective mindset I have within my community of never forgetting where you come from and always giving back, I think that really speaks to what team sport's about. And I think it really has underpinned my journey as both a player, but also now as a coach. And it's something that I've been really blessed to have at Sparks with Fudge around me and so forth, where I've been made to feel quite safe in terms of sharing my culture. And I guess the word's not challenging, but really about connecting with Fudge in his role at UTS to be leaders in this space and really drive some of that social change and innovation. So, I've been really blessed to have really good people around me where, as a result of some of that inherent belief I have as an Aboriginal woman, it's now morphed into one of our club's mantras that we have as a collective, which is, around that, never above, never below, but always beside. And that's what I think sums up my family and my community. And now it's what, sums up our family here at the UTS Randwick Sparks.
What a fabulous motto. That is really terrific. Courts, it's just incredibly important tonight that we listen to the athlete perspective. In the end, our game is about the athlete, and it's incredibly important that we're informed by your perspective and your experiences. I'm hoping that you can just talk us through some of the opportunities you've had in netball, particularly those that you have had in a culturally safe space, and how they've influenced the outcome of your experience.
Yeah, I think the first time I really felt, being exposed to that culturally safe environment, Indigenous high performance camp that was held down in Canberra. And that's where, I met you, Margaret, for the first time, and Ali for the first time too, and a lot of other different coaches. And it was just pretty much, there was only, I think it was 20 athletes, Aboriginal athletes around the country got selected to attend that. And I think, growing up, you never really see any, Aboriginal people playing netball. So it's hard to, have those idols as well, considering, you're used to, what you see usually. So I think, seeing girls up with a similar passion that, in that environment too, that really felt culturally safe for me. And I think especially coming to Sparks as well, being under Ali and Sharon as well, Sharon Hill, they're very straight up, embracing of the culture, and even with the girls as well, the willingness to learn more about, the Aboriginal culture and what we can bring, makes you feel supported and comfortable, I think, in the environment.
Oh, that's great. Look, Coach, you've talked a lot about the role models and the supportive environment. Perhaps you could just talk to us a little bit about the experience of the Indigenous All-Stars team this year and what it meant to be in a team with teammates all of the same culture, all sharing an experience.
Yeah, I thought it was a good concept. A good start to it all. Early stages with everything. It was especially being able to, be a leader in that environment too, meant a lot. And then it was big with family as well. They were very, very proud of that. But there's still lots to work on in that bit. but I feel, yeah, it's a good start, I feel.
Of course, hit us with some of your feedback. What's some of the work? What's some of the ways that we can make these programs a little better?
I think, you know, with that being an exhibition game, you know, there's, you know, just a one game kind of thing, one and done. I think, you know, I don't know if I'm breaking up. Am I breaking up? My
a little
connection?
bit, but we can
Sorry.
hear fine. No, it's okay.
Yeah, so I think, you know, having more, you know, time with the girls to build that extra bond with them. You know, felt a bit rushed at the time, but yeah, so I think more bonding time with the girls and, you know, being able to connect with them, as well as, you know, everyone behind the scenes that have, you know, put in that extra work to try to get us out there. And maybe something to look forward to afterwards as well. So, you know, use that as a pathway to, like, could it come with, I don't know, scholarships or, I don't know, something to get out of it instead of just
it's fantastic. I think that ongoing commitment is a really important message for us all to take from that. Al, remembering that you were an athlete at one time too, but please feel free from your coach perspective as well. Can you perhaps talk about the Indigenous Talent Camp and how that how that created that culturally safe space for the young athletes, 12 and 13-year-old athletes that we're now seeing making their way through the pathway?
Yeah, look, we obviously recognise the lack of representation within the pathway program, and I guess in terms of the camp that we've been running and wanting to run during COVID, that have been challenged by, I guess we wanted to provide a platform or an environment where we could pull kids together who were at that age of joining a local academy. So because that's really the first stepping stone into that high performance pathway. And the way that, you know, I sort of thought that we could position this in a really culturally safe space was actually, I guess, bring the girls in, but also importantly connect with their family, their caregiver, whoever it is that's their primary person in their life. And I think that's one of the things I've really been delighted with the program, is that it's not just athlete-centred, which obviously is critical, but particularly within our communities, it's about ensuring we connect with the broader Aboriginal community and key members within that. And it's not just about them connecting, it's about maintaining those connections and making sure that they're really genuine and authentic. And I think the piece that we had really resonated at the last camp when we had Beryl Friday's mum come along and do a spiel to the parents or the caregivers and just talk through, you know, what it's like to navigate a child through the high performance pathway and dealing with those setbacks and not being selected and being really frustrated by that, and how to not just, I guess, manage that from a caregiver perspective, but also how do you continue to engage and ensure that the athlete stays in the pathway. And I think, you know, hearing that shared experience and the story around that is just so powerful. And that's what I think, you know, as a community we do really well, is our stories. We share stories really well. And I think for me, when we're talking about those culturally safe spaces, that's a way in which we can look at connecting with our local Aboriginal community. We're bringing them in and talking and asking them to talk to you guys about, you know, the story of where you guys are playing netball on, like really building that sense of understanding and really valuing those connections that have been around for thousands and thousands of years.
Oh, that's awesome.